Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, I love talking all things reality TV, and today we are going back in time to revisit a reality TV classic, Undercover Boss. Undercover Boss was one of my personal favorites when I was younger. If you can't tell, I've seen a lot of reality TV, and the business ones were always my favorite, like Shark Tank, obviously, The Profit, Undercover Boss, any of those were just give me more of them, can't stop. And I have not personally seen the show in years and years and years. When I went to look it up, I was surprised there were seasons that went all the way to 2022. So I thought it'd be fun to go back to season 1 and watch one of the episodes all together and relive the glory that was. If you've clicked into this video though and have never heard of Undercover Boss, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. Undercover Boss is based off of a British show with the exact same name, produced by the same people, where people in a high position in a big company go undercover to lower level positions in the company to see what's really going on in the business. Through the course of their time, they will team up with these lower level position employees to actually do their jobs, train under them, all of that, and by the end of the time, the boss reveals himself to the employees he worked with one-on-one, and the employees who were good get a reward, and the employees who are bad get admonished and punished, usually fired. The show first aired in the US in February of 2010, and it ran for 11 seasons, but not necessarily consecutively. The first season seemed to kind of be a tester. There were only 9 episodes, and it went from February 2010 to April 2010, and then immediately in September of 2010, they did a big season 2 with 22 episodes, and then 2012 twice, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, then we jump again to 2018, 2020, and then 2022. So there's been some touch and go times for Undercover Boss. One of those seasons is also a celebrity edition. From what I can tell, just doing a brief look at it, it appears that they take celebrities and disguise them and put them in a situation where they try to discover talent similar to whatever they're famous for. I don't know. I've never seen it. If that sounds interesting to you and you want me to do a video though, let me know down below. And I just thought this was a fun little fact that I would share with y'all from Wikipedia. The very first episode that they ever aired was right after the Super Bowl for that year, and it had 38.6 million viewers, which was the largest audience ever for a new series following the Super Bowl, the largest audience ever to watch the premiere episode of a reality TV series, the most watched new series premiere overall on television since Dolly, which was in September 1987, and the third largest post-Super Bowl audience behind a Friends special in 1996 and Survivor, the Australian Outback edition in 2001, and as of November 2019, the premiere episode of Undercover Boss remains both the highest rated and most watched single episode of the 2010s on US television. Whew! It was a mouthful to read from Wikipedia. Don't forget to donate. Thank you, Wikipedia, for all your service. I know y'all don't need to hear this, but I always love giving the reasoning of the episode I pick for these rewatches. So number 1, I didn't have a lot of seasons to choose from on Hulu, which is where I was going to watch this. There was 1, 3, 9, 10, 11, and then the celebrity edition. So I was like, you know what, I want to go early, I want to go back to something I've seen before, but that I probably don't remember. Let me go to season 1. And then I looked at all the companies for season 1, and I was really wanting to do, they're all big businesses, obviously, but I wanted to do one that wasn't like Hooters, for example, which is covered a lot, all of that. I also just wanted to do a business that I didn't know if it would still exist or not. I'm sure some of y'all will hear this name, and you might know about the business, you might know whether it's open or closed. I personally didn't. So today we are watching season 1, episode 7, Herschend Family Entertainment, and that is the other reason I picked it. I wanted to know what business this was. I didn't know if it was performers you like rent out to come to your parties. I didn't know if it was like an amusement park. So we'll find out all together while we watch this, what I'm sure is going to be a great episode of Undercover Boss.
The economy is going through tough times. Many hardworking Americans blame wealthy CEOs out of touch with what's going on in their own companies. But some bosses are willing to take extreme action to make their businesses better.
Okay, so we start off great. We start off 10 out of 10 with this opener of talking about, number one, the recession. It's 2010, so obviously all of that's been going on. But to be like, you know, some bosses are willing to risk it all or do whatever. It's like, we'll see about that. We'll see. I don't really know if going on TV is doing everything you can to, like, do better for your employees. We might have thought that in 2010. Maybe it's the 2024 goggles watching this, but it's just so funny. I don't feel like an opener like this would fly. Again, I don't know what those 2022 episodes look like. So maybe, I don't know. It's just so funny. Also, the announcer's voice, it just takes me right back to that time of reality TV, and I love it. So if you are like me and did not know what kind of business this was going to be, we have just been informed. It is, in fact, a theme park, which I'm so pumped for. It is, or at least it was, America's largest family-owned amusement park. The CEO is going undercover to see what can be better and what's not working in the business. Okay, good news. We also just got told it's the most emotional reveal of the season. That feels like it's pretty easy to say when there were only 9 episodes and this is episode 7, but whatever, we're gonna move on. Oh, okay. So I was under the impression from the way they started this out that this was going to be like one theme park. No, wrong. They own like 22 properties across America, different theme parks, different like attraction-y type things, like those boats that they're cars that turn into boats. I forget what they're called. They're like the duck boats, something like that. They also own Silver Dollar City. If you live in the South or Midwest, you probably know what that is. I've been there. So this is a little different than I thought, but still gonna be fun, still gonna be interesting. I was really hoping it was just gonna be this one random, like, amusement park in the middle of nowhere. That's what I was hoping for, but that's okay. That's okay. It makes more sense that it would be something at a larger scale, considering the other businesses they had in season 1. So it's fair. It's fair. The CEO we'll be following is named Joel, and we find out he's been CEO for 8 years. Something I think is so just like very early 2010 core, especially with a lot of these sort of businesses. And I could be wrong, I could be making this up, but I feel like this happened a lot with Undercover Boss. The CEO always feels like they need to give a story of how they like pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And especially, again, looking at it with the 2024 goggles, I don't know if I trust this man entirely, but we're getting the story of how, you know, Joel grew up, like, poor and with his brothers and, you know, lived that life. Also, from the way everything was worded in the beginning, I was under the impression Joel was going to be a Nepo baby. I just thought they really meant, like, family, like, run, but they just mean family owned, I assume, and not necessarily like maybe they're like, you know, they're owners, but they ain't like running stuff day to day. Not that necessarily a CEO is either. Anyway, we're getting off track. I just felt like I needed to put that in there. Feels very 2010 core to be like, I'm one of you. I'm one of the people. It's like, whatever, my guy. We continue to learn more relatable things about Joel because, you know, obviously they want us to be endeared to him. They want to see him as one of us. We want to be on the same level as this CEO man who has worked at the CEO of multiple companies. Anyway, we find out that at home, Joel has 4 daughters and a wife, and he wants to do everything he can to provide for them, and he wants to be there with them, but that hasn't always been the case, because back in the day, Joel used to be the CEO of an automotive business, and apparently that just was taking a big toll on him. It led to him turning to alcohol until he was drinking too much and just like not doing what he needed to do for his family. His wife stepped in, pretty much was like, hey, you got to get this together. He had a breakdown, left the automotive industry, was really worried about it, but then said he was called to the Herschend Family Entertainment. Number one, because of their great Christian values, have really helped him get back on track, and he really appreciates them for that and feels like this is the business he was called to be at, rather the company he was called to be at. If you're wondering why I'm just paraphrasing through this stuff and not like showing the footage, number one, it's because it's boring. It's just easier for me to summarize it, and then number two, I'm not risking YouTube getting mad at me for putting clips in if they are not worth watching. So we'll get to the good clips when the good clips come. Finally, we get to the reasoning that Joel is wanting to go undercover in this company that he loves so much. It turns out that with the recession the way it's been, theme park attendance is down, and because of that, they had to freeze wages. And, he just wanted to see how the employees are doing after that. I feel like I know the answer, but Joel needs to go undercover to find out because he wants the unfiltered opinion about their feelings toward the company, how they're doing, and hopefully he is gonna get it. I am actually gonna throw my hat into the ring, and I am gonna make a guess that this is gonna be one of those episodes where we do not get like somebody who is slacking or not working hard. I think we're gonna have all like good worker employees, and they're actually going to tell Joel like some things that he needs to hear, and good things are going to happen. I'm partially basing that off of them saying this was like the most emotional reveal ever, so I feel like it better live up to it. But also with it being a theme park, and also with it being the first season of Undercover Boss, granted, the idea is that people never know they're on Undercover Boss, but like, I mean, I know in some of those later seasons, people were like, I think that's so-and-so. I know it happened a couple times, but especially with it being season one, just in general, and just the way TV was back then, even though they're getting like an unfiltered opinion from the employee because their CEO isn't in front of them, the person still is on camera and is nervous about losing their job. I would be at least. Even if they said it was just some random show where I'm training somebody, I'm going to be on my best behavior. I think that changed in later seasons due to the way TV production is, but that's a whole other thing. Back into the episode.
When I go undercover, my name's going to be John Briggs, and I'm going to be a new recruit to our company who was just laid off from the auto industry. I'm going to grow a beard, and I'm going to cut my hair and so forth. So I'll be telling my coworkers that I'm being followed by a TV crew, documenting what it's like to try out entry-level jobs at Herschend.
Another great part of the show is the showing them changing and showing the costumes. I was looking at some pictures of some of the later seasons, just trying to like, look at things, refresh a little bit, but not too much before I watched this episode. And honestly, this one is a good disguise. I feel like sometimes they went so far with people trying to like make them look different that it just like looked ridiculous and like they were in a costume. Because truly, this is enough for a lot of people to not recognize somebody, especially not somebody you see every day. Like, not everybody knows what their CEO looks like. I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't, even in a company like this. But just adding a beard, getting a haircut, that's a lot. Especially for somebody like me. I'd be like, I don't know you, hi.
I will miss my family a lot, but I think it's important to improve and change for the company.
I don't remember if this was standard or not, but I love them putting him in this like motel to be like, see, you have to really see what it's like to like live like your employees. That's so funny. That's fantastic. I hope they always did that. For his first entry-level job, we are going to Stone Mountain Park in Stone Mountain, Georgia, where he specifically wants to look at the Ride the Ducks boat rides. That is the boat I was trying to describe earlier, Ride the Ducks. That is what he is interested in seeing, how it's working, if they're keeping it up to standard, giving the entertainment that they should be giving with this very beloved attraction. We will be following what they call one of their duck captains, and Joel says that he doesn't just make the experience, the duck captain is the experience. They're the ones handling the guests, interacting with them, and it is very important that they are making this the best that it can be because it's also 5% of their revenue. So the duck ride thing is a little important, I would say. Duck ride, y'all know what I'm talking about. First, we are introduced to Duck Boat Captain Charlie, who gets Joel, aka John. We're just gonna call him Joel. We're not gonna call him his undercover name. We're gonna call him Joel. Anyway, Joel gets his uniform from Captain Charlie, who then takes him out to meet Captain Howard, who shows him around the duck, aka the boat / car / whatever it's called.
You've got 3 main responsibilities. You're gonna drive this duck, you're gonna talk to people, and you're gonna play some music for them. It's all about jokes and having fun. Unlike the normal tours that you would go on, this is more of a show.
Okay.
I want to see really how you interact with the kids.
Okay.
Follow my lead and you'll see how I do it. Like I said, for me, it's the fun of the show that's going to make them happy. So, but I'm going to show you how this goes down.
And now that Joel's been given the basic rules of what they need to be doing, it is time for them to go on an actual boat ride. Then we get the great footage of all of the kids lining up, getting ready to go ride the duck, and Joel and Captain Howard are helping get them in their little life vests and asking their name. And then we find out they all get a little quacker to go on the boat that makes like little duck sounds. So precious.
No quacker, no ride.
You got to watch what I'm doing here. This is some serious stuff here, okay?
All right.
All right, folks, little fella coming through.
And this moment right here is part of why I was hoping it was going to be like an amusement park or something fun, and why I picked this kind of business, because while capitalism can be a hellscape and jobs can be terrible, jobs like this where you get to see people like having fun and trying to entertain people and make people laugh makes it a little better, right? Please tell me that's right. I think it's right. The first landmark we come upon is this mountain. I don't know about it because I'm not from that area, Georgia, sorry. And he tries to get Joel to give kind of a description of it. I guess Howard maybe gave him some tips about like what was up with it, and we see Joel just kind of failing spectacularly, and then Howard doing a great job, describing the mountain, doing it the right way, as is with these shows, the general flow, general concept. Also though, when you see Howard talking about the mountain, you can just tell he's so passionate about giving these tours and telling people these things. And that just makes my heart so warm.
It's the largest piece of exposed granite in the whole entire world. Wow. Right there, that's what we're looking at. All right, guys?
Then it's time for the best part of one of these experiences. It's time for the vehicle to splash into the water. Once again, Howard is just killing it, being fun and funny, getting the kids hyped up. And Joel is commenting on it too, of course not yet to Howard, but in his little confessional interview moments, he's talking about how great it is to see somebody who's just so passionate and has so much fun doing their job. This is a sidebar complaint. I don't know who it was in editing or producing in reality TV who decided that we needed recaps of the episode we are currently watching when we get back from a commercial break, but I'm begging you. I am begging everybody who makes shows that still do this. I'm looking at you, TLC specifically. Please stop. So many of us especially are streaming now, and if you do have commercials, it's like 30 seconds, and dear God, if we cannot remember what just happened after only 30 seconds of commercial break, burn the planet. I've been watching like 2 minutes of them like showing what's going to happen next in the episode and then recapping what has already happened. And it's taken up like 2 to 3 minutes of my time. And that is ridiculous. Whoever invented that, prison. Anyway, okay, I might have exaggerated. It was only a minute, but dear God, it's ridiculous. I'm still right on the point, even if I was going over how much time it was. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. Okay, we're gonna move on now, I promise. We move on to the second entry-level job he's gonna be doing, which is at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. Joel wants to visit Silver Dollar City, number one, because it's one of their flagship entertainment parks. It's been in existence for 50 years when they were filming this, and on top of that, it has a reputation for being one of the friendliest theme parks, and he wants to see how they're able to do that. While he's at Silver Dollar City, he's going to be doing 2 different jobs. First up, he is going to be working at the front as a ticket taker because he says that is the first experience the guests have of the park, and he wants to see how the guests are making them feel excited and warm and welcome into Silver Dollar City. Joel is first introduced to Deanna from customer service, who takes him in to meet Albert, who he will be working with for the day. I love this dynamic of like, first he meets the little supervisor person and then the employee, and not just going to the employee he's going to work with directly. Fun little setup, especially because for the most part we do not see the supervisor ever again. Maybe we will, but we didn't in the first one, and I can sense it probably will be a pattern. But I still think it's fun. I like the formality. I feel like it makes it feel more like this really is some rando doing entry-level jobs for like a TLC documentary. I feel like it makes it more authentic. Oh my god, Albert is setting up these little strollers, and it just immediately flashed me back. I remember being in one of them, because it's not like a normal stroller. Hopefully I can find a good picture to show y'all. It's like a whole like flat surface with a little canopy over it, and I remember as a kid just thinking that was so luxurious. That was one of my main memories from Silver Dollar City, was getting to ride around in one of those at one point. I was like, wow, this is luxury. We are here. Then it's time to get Joel in uniform, which is way more exciting than the last time, because if you didn't know, Silver Dollar City is like 1800s themed. Like, that's the theme of Silver Dollar City, is ye olden time. And so he's in this very like pilgrim outfit. I'm sure when you were looking at Albert, you were probably thinking, what is that man wearing? It is part of the costuming and the theming of Silver Dollar City. So fantastic. We get a silly outfit. It is then time for Joel to get out there and try the job. Albert explains how ticket taking works. You know, you flag somebody down, you take their ticket, you scan it, the turnstile unlocks so they can walk through. Seems simple enough, but I'm sure Joel will not find it very easy because, again, that's just the flow of how these shows tend to work.
How are you today, ma'am?
I'm fine.
It's a gorgeous day, isn't it?
Right over here, folks. I can get your
There you go,
tickets.
you come
Got
on
your tickets
through.
right here, folks.
Have a great day, all right? The season pass holder, all right.
And just make sure to check your ID.
You're from Maine? All right, good to have you here.
Okay, I'm not even gonna refilm that. I was wrong. He actually does a good job. He kind of has some nerves at first, and Albert has to be like, you know, gotta interact, keep interacting. But it seems like he warmed up to it pretty quickly, and, you know, good for Joel. Good for Joel, we'll give up to him. Joel is having a lot of fun greeting the different guests, but that is not all Albert does, and it is time to take him to the less glamorous part, which is stocking the strollers that I was referencing earlier. They're having to take them down, unfold them, get them ready for when guests buy them so they can just go over and get one out. And it's fantastic the way they're just like knocking them down and opening them. And Joel is so gingerly with them at first. I can't think of a better way to describe it. And Albert has to be like, you cannot hurt the stroller. It's going to be okay. And I believe it because I feel like those things have been around since like the 90s. And I'm looking at them now and they look great. So while they're unpacking the strollers, number one, we see Joel be like, dang, this kid moves fast. I cannot keep up, which I assumed would happen at some point. Again, just a very, very common trope of this show, especially when it comes to these physical activities like this. That's always where the CEOs are like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm moving my body. Wild. During this time, we also get a classic Undercover Boss moment where the CEO and one of the employees really starts to bond over the story. We learn Albert's been working there for about 6 years, ever since he was 14. And since he's from the area, he grew up at the parks, and he has a big passion for the park, specifically Silver Dollar City, and has lots of ideas for how it can grow and be perfect, and he wants to be a part of that. And of course, he's saying all of this to the CEO, but he doesn't know it. Oh, wild. We have the touching music in the background. It's great. It's fantastic. Eat it up every time.
I'd really like to get into designing if I could, you know, if that's something that I'm
design
led to.
attractions.
Design attractions, yeah. I've been working on a couple designs, and I've got some if you wouldn't mind seeing them.
Nah, I wouldn't mind at all.
Why does it look like this roller coaster is designed on Roller Coaster Tycoon? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's some other sort of software or something. But it looks a lot like Roller Coaster Tycoon to me, and I need to know if I'm just being wild or not. So if you think it looks like Roller Coaster Tycoon, tell me, because it could be. The game was released by then. It could be, and it kind of looks like the same layout and the same. It feels like Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I have to know if I'm the only one who thinks this. Okay, after doing a little Googling to remind myself what the Roller Coaster Tycoon build mode looked like, I am almost positive he's showing a roller coaster he built on Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I think that is fantastic. So funny. Again, he doesn't know he's talking to the CEO, but so funny in context to think about. This is your shot talking to the CEO, and you're showing him a roller coaster you built on Roller Coaster Tycoon. Love that. I'm not trying to diss him or like crush the spirit. I love that. Everybody's got to start somewhere. If Roller Coaster Tycoon's where you're starting, that's where you're starting. But it's also kind of funny because he's designed this roller coaster, and he's like, and then it goes underwater. And the CEO is like, is there a roller coaster that goes underwater currently, like right now? And Albert's like, no, that's another good reason to have it. So I love, on top of just like showing him this roller coaster, he's like wanting to design something that's never been built before. And again, love the ambition, love the drive, but it's fun. It's objectively funny. They continue to get to know each other. Joel asks Albert if he's wanting to go to school for designing roller coasters, and Albert talks about how his family doesn't have a lot, and he's kind of in the position that a lot of people are, where he's having to work just so he can afford to go to school, and he's also trying to go to school so he can get a better job, and he's just kind of in that stage in life trying to figure all of that out.
What do you think the ideal job is here?
I would like to eventually be a CEO of Herschend Properties.
Who's in that job now?
Joel Manby is our CEO. He is a awesome guy.
He's an awesome guy. I don't know whether or not to believe that this man does not know that he's talking to the CEO. Number one, the immediately jumping to the laptop to show the roller coaster designs. And then that, it's making me suspicious. But we're going to move on and we're going to pretend like it's all just normal. It's all normal bonding time. And yep, that's what we're going with. We wrap up the bonding moment, lunchtime, to get back to work. And the day wraps up. We have Joel talking in an interview moment about how much he respects Albert, sees his hard work. We also go on to see Joel have some like at the motel time all by himself, having to eat like a microwave dinner and being like, I can see myself in Albert and I want to be able to help him. And while the day may be over, Joel's time at Silver Dollar City isn't, because the next day it is time for him to work job 2 at this park.
Got up at 3:30 this morning, which has never happened before. I don't know why and how people choose to do these jobs so early in the morning.
The answer is people are poor and they just have to take jobs sometimes. Sometimes they don't choose to do jobs that early in the morning. I wouldn't expect him to be able to quite piece that together though, but that's okay. Because Silver Dollar City was rated one of the cleanest theme parks, Joel is wanting to see how the heck they're doing it. So he comes to the park at 4:45 a.m. to work with Richard, who they call one of their street washers. The job is pretty self-explanatory. As the name says, they are literally just hosing down all the streets of the park, trying to get the leaves out of the way, any of that sort of stuff, to make all the streets clean and beautiful. And as you can imagine, since number one, he had to wake up super early in the morning, and then 2, it is a physical activity, this is not going to be Joel's bread and butter.
Is it the red one or
no,
the
left.
black one?
You turn the black part.
Whoa.
Yeah, I keep missing them. How come there's still leaves where I do it?
It's actually harder than it looks. He had to keep telling me to go back and hit those spots I was missing.
Will you help? Richard. I think my hose is leaking. Whoa, sorry, man.
After Joel continues to kind of struggle, Richard decides it might be best if he takes over most of the hosing and Joel does some more observing. So of course during this time we're gonna get some bonding moments. We find out Richard's been working at the park for 12 years. He started working there because he wanted a job where he could be home every night with his kids. Before he was working in construction and that wasn't possible. He talks about how he has 5 kids, 2 of which are adopted, which is something he has in common with Joel, because Joel also has 4 kids, 1 of which is adopted, so that's something they start to bond over. We then also find out that Richard relatively recently lost his house in a flood. For a while, him and his wife and their 5 kids were all in a camper while they were trying to figure out their living situation, and that just seems so hard. And of course, Joel has to put the little capitalistic spin on it and be like, I'm so proud of how hard he works despite those bad things that happened. And once again, I'm going to be like, yes, Joel, people are poor. They have to work. Then we find out from Joel that their company has some sort of financial assistance program. And he's like, it kind of makes me frustrated that it doesn't seem like Richard applied for this. And it's like, we can't help people if they don't apply. Which, fair, but I don't know for sure that that's been established that he didn't apply. Also, the frustration, which I hope this is what he means by the frustration should be that he might not even know about the program. It falls on y'all to educate them and tell them that this program exists and encourage people to use it. That's going to be the other thing. God only knows how this program is like looked upon and like what the application process is like. Just all things to consider. So I'm hoping that's what his frustration is and not just like being frustrated he didn't apply. That's what I'm going to at least think for my sanity. For his 4th job, we are staying in Branson, Missouri, where he'll be visiting the showboat Branson Belle, which is a boat that they've had in operation for 14 years. And from what I can tell, it is literally just dinner and a show on a boat. They have all these tables, you eat dinner, watch a show, and for this job, he is going to be shadowing one of the servers. And we're going to have to take a pause on talking about the episode for me to say, I do not understand the appeal of this. If you understand the appeal, please let me know. I have been on like a riverboat, but I feel like the appeal of doing those riverboat kind of things is sitting outside, seeing the water, seeing the sights. That's kind of the point of going on the boat. I can't imagine doing dinner theater but on a boat. It's not all quite clicking for me. It's not making sense. It could be my vertigo talking about feeling like I might get motion sick or dizzy from that. But I feel like even without that, I just don't see the appeal. If you do, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from somebody because I just personally don't get it. We're then introduced to Jennifer, who is the server Joel will be shadowing during the boat ride.
I've never served before, so you a good trainer?
I'm gonna try my best.
Okay.
I feel in my heart of hearts this is gonna be an interesting one. Let's see how this goes. Joel gets into his uniform and things start out pretty easy with him just following Jennifer around, getting some drink orders. All is pretty chill, but then it gets into time to actually serve food. And Jennifer goes to this man and is like, have you ever held a tray before? And of course he hasn't. He's never served, so no, he has never balanced a tray of food while walking around. And I, for one, am terrified for him. But Jennifer encourages him, telling him just to focus, it's just about balance, follow her, it'll all be good. And at first, he's kind of struggling to keep up, but at the end of the day, he doesn't drop anything, which is shocking because he does have kind of a close call.
He's pushing you towards the center. Nope.
Whoa.
Okay, hold on.
And he has some of the older women in the crowd even crushing on him and giving him some tips at the end. So overall, he was more successful than I thought. He has been more successful with the jobs in general. I have been discounting Joel, but he has been able to keep up, which is shocking. Honestly, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's then time for the servers to go on break, and as they're walking up to the section of the boat where they'll hang out and eat their lunch, Jennifer gets a call that her daughter is sick, which obviously stresses her out, as it would for any mom. And they start to kind of talk about it. Joel's asking her about her family, and we find out she has 2 kids and is divorced, and that childcare is actually a big thing that is a struggle for her, as it is with a lot of people who do any waitressing jobs. The hours are weird. Sometimes you get sent home randomly. And she talks about how she's even tried to go to the company to see if they will sponsor having a childcare facility because of all the weird hours that these theme park people work. Not just for their boat, I assume, since there's multiple attractions in Branson. I think she means, like, as a whole, some sort of childcare, something to help them out. Because she talks about, again, like is the case with these kind of jobs, you may get sent home and not even make any money because these people are relying on tips, and because it's the recession, they're not filling the boat like they were. So sometimes you get a section that's completely empty and you go home and you've paid somebody to watch your kids, but you didn't make any money. So she expresses all of these different frustrations to Joel, who she doesn't know is the CEO. After Joel has heard her story, we hear him in an interview moment say that that is really bad, that people are having to deal with that, and they should offer some assistance for that. So I guess we'll see what happens with that at the end with the whole reveal. His 5th and final job is at Adventure Aquarium in Camden, New Jersey. He's wanting to go undercover here because they just recently acquired this aquarium and he wants to get to know the vibe. He doesn't really know the people and he wants to see how it all works. Joel gets started right away being introduced to Mercedes, who is currently working at the touch tank where kids can come up, feel different things in this little aquarium that they have, and that is where he is beginning his journey. We see a little bit of footage of him interacting with some of the kids, trying to say what the different things in the tank are, getting some of it wrong, but pretty quickly he needs to move on and it's time to get into cleaning around the aquarium. They go around cleaning the glass for some of the different viewing areas and aquariums, and as you can imagine, Joel does struggle. He might prevail, I don't know yet. We'll see, but he is struggling.
I think you missed a spot.
I know, it's really hard to get all the spots because there's so many.
You gotta take pride in what you do. There's actually a smudge right above your head here. Make sure you get up here too. Put some more muscle into it. Have you ever done cleaning like this? Ever?
The answer is more than likely, no he has not. So we then find out Mercedes doesn't only just do the touch tank and this cleaning, she also does some accounting work and events hosting, and she has like a plethora of things she's doing around the aquarium. So she is about this. At first when she was naming the other things she did, I was like, oh, she has other jobs. And then I realized it was within the aquarium. Incredible. Love that for her if she's getting compensated as she should. I'm not saying she's not. I'm just saying. We then find out that 2 years ago, before Mercedes got this job, she was actually homeless with her 1-year-old son. They were sleeping at the son's private daycare on the floor, and then she finally was able to get this job, and ever since then, she's just been saying yes to every opportunity they'll give her. So that's kind of the reason why she has ended up in all of these roles, because she just wants to be able to do whatever she can to help provide for her son. Very sweet bonding moment. It also does make me worried for her because she does make this joke about, like, you know, the experience is what matters, the pay will come later. And I'm like, yes, but also it makes me nervous because I'm gonna admit it here. I have a similar attitude, and it can be very, very bad in a workplace if you are not careful and not setting boundaries. If you're just one of those people who's always willing to take every responsibility no matter what, it's not always going to get you what you think it's going to get you. And it's just important to think about what your limits are and not go over those limits to the point that you're just giving all of yourself to something and not going to get that same return. I just had to say that. But I'm happy for Mercedes that she seems happy in this job and seems like she's thriving. I do just worry about, you know, all of what I just said. That might just be me being biased and putting things onto her, so we'll move on.
In this experience, you know, you just see so much pain. And you just think, why? You know, why does it have to be like this? And You know, you want to help, but you can't always help everybody.
There's lots of things I could say in response to Joel's magnum opus moment of realizing the real lives of people in his company. I will say, number one, though, I was right, called it slam dunk from the beginning, that these were all going to be good employees. We weren't going to see any rebel rousers up in there. So I do want to start off by saying I was right. And the other more important thing, actually responding to what he said, is while he might not be able to help, every single person in the world, in the company, he might not be able to go to each individual employee and fix exactly everything that's going wrong with their life. There are a lot of actionable things he can do to make his employees' lives across the board better, which will ease these sort of things. And again, that's hopefully the point of the show, that they see this, that they learn. I don't know how much learning actually happened from any of this, but we can at least hope. We do have the big reveal to see, what he's going to give to the different employees and all that coming up. So, but, we don't know about the actual actionable change, because, there's things you can do, like give bonuses, all of that, but unless you're implementing things that are going to last in the company, like increasing people's wages. I know they're doing a wage freeze right now, so that's probably not helping a lot of people. Assisting with things like childcare, like they were talking about earlier. Doing more with that financial assistance program. I don't know what all they're doing with it, but I'm sure there's a way to make it more known, make it more accessible, make it something people actually apply for when they need it. Things like that are very tangible, real things you can do as a CEO. So it's time to stop being sad and get glad that you can hopefully do something. We then get to the part in the show where Joel is reflecting on his time overall at all the different jobs he did. And it's so funny to think about how I used to watch the show as a kid. I remember getting to this ending and being like, yeah, things in the world are going to change. It would make me so hopeful about just the state of the world. And watching it now as an adult, honestly, it just kind of makes me aggravated hearing him say all this stuff about he couldn't really understand until he did it. Yes, I get that concept, but it's just frustrating to hear that. I'm just going to be honest. It's just frustrating to hear that, because I just feel like you shouldn't have to do that to understand what your employees need. I feel like you should just be able to listen to your employees. Maybe that makes me wild, but watching this part now is it's honestly making me frustrated to the point I keep losing my train of thought, just because I just don't like it. I don't like it. I'm really hoping the new things and reward type things he's going to implement make me feel better again, because right now I'm just I just want to sit Joel down. I want to tell Joel, number one, the people are poor. That's why they work these jobs. And then number two, stop admitting that you've never done entry-level jobs. It doesn't jive well with the first part of your story about how your family was poor. Pick a lane, Joel. He does talk about he got breaks, whatever. We're not going to get into it. I could rant about this all day, and we need to move on. We're so close to the show being over. It's time for Joel to go back to the office after his undercover work, and we start out with him having a board meeting with other higher-ups of the company to talk about what he learned. Number one, he talks about the financial assistance thing, and he talks about how they have it, but people aren't applying. And one of the women who's out there asks the question I had earlier of did you figure out why they aren't applying? And his answer is kind of similar to what I was saying about how you need to make it something people want to apply for. People don't, it's hard to apply for financial assistance. They need to, like he said, and like I said earlier, they need to market it better. They need to make it more accessible. So he does mention all that, which I was like, yes, good points. Then he talks about needing to serve single parents better and childcare. That one he's more vague about. He's like, when you go back to your parks, keep an ear out. I want to fix that. So we don't really get anything about that. Typically, the first one wasn't really concrete solutions either. But if you compare the two, the first one at least, marketing it better, making it more accessible. Those are actionable items versus put your ear to the ground. Let's see what happens. want to make it better. Baby steps. Baby steps, people. It's then time for the employees that Joel worked with to come to headquarters one by one for the reveal.
I'm not actually John Briggs.
You're not John.
Well, I'm actually Joel Manby, and I'm CEO of Herschend Entertainment.
No. That was you, okay?
We then kind of have a montage moment of, everybody getting the reveal. It's one of my personal favorite parts, seeing everybody's faces. I can't put all of that in here. YouTube would never allow it. But fantastic quality time. Lots of hee 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 hee. 10 out of 10. We then see a montage of him kind of explaining why he chose to do this process, and then it's time to individually talk to people. First up, we have Boat Captain Howard. Joel talks about how proud he was to see the way that Captain Howard interacted with all the kids and the enthusiasm for the job, and he wants to send him out to other Ride the Ducks locations to help train people to give that same magic all across the board to all of the different locations. They don't talk about a pay increase or anything, but we're going to assume that's what happened because that's going to make me feel better. I don't know how the rest of this is going to go. I'm just going to say to just assume that because I feel like it might not get brought up again, and I don't want to say that every single time. So for my sanity, that's what I'm going to assume and pretend that when he's giving them these additional roles, there's an implied pay increase. We're all just going to do that so I don't have to repeat myself if it keeps happening. We're all just going to put that in the back of our mind and keep it for our sanity. Okay, let's move on. We then talk to Jennifer, who was the server and single mom. Joel talks about how he was really impressed with her work ethic, and he was thankful to her for bringing up the idea of childcare, and he informs her that they're going to be expanding their financial assistance program so people can use it for childcare, and he's informing her of that and being like, yep, so it should be able to help you. He doesn't say what it is. Again, we're getting very vague things going on with the ending. I was kind of hoping for more. I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to stay on the hopeful side to end this video on a positive note. So hopefully she'll easily be able to apply for it. She'll get it and it will help her with her childcare needs. I'm just going to keep doing this because I want this to be good. Then we talk to Richard, who was the street washer. Joel talks about how lucky they are to have someone like him in the company, and he wants to give Richard $10,000, which is the full amount of their catastrophic funds they have to give out for things like that, to Richard to help fix up his house. And then the exact thing he says is, we're going to give the citizens of Silver Dollar City the day off to come help you fix up your house. So from what he just said, I don't understand. What I'm a little confused about is he going to just take, like, what, who, I'm very confused about this concept. I mean, I kind of get, like, I assume they're going to have people who work for them at Silver Dollar City go out and help with the house, maybe like maintenance people, those sort of things. But number one, that is not giving them the day off. I just want to say that. Very weird to word it that way. And then number two, why the workers, why is that not part of the money? Also, another weird thing that always happens with Undercover Boss is like 1 to 2 people always get wildly better things than other people, and it's so awkward. Like, I definitely would like $10,000 to fix up my house. And you can argue sometimes that, like, that, that is one of the bigger needs that was happening that's right away. But again, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier about, like, you can't necessarily help every single employee, but there are things you should be doing as an overall thing. And it's fine. It's fine. I'm happy that Richard is getting good things for his house. He deserves it. That would be terrible to happen. Moving on. And then number 2, why does it have to be the people who work at Silver Dollar City? Wouldn't that be part of like the $10,000 fund? I don't know. It just seems very odd. It feels like a very odd thing to tack on there. Very happy for Richard though. I'm sure he deserves it. That'd be, again, it's a horrible thing to lose your house. It's one of my worst nightmares. It's something that like is an active fear of mine, like a fire especially. Active fear. One of my like, so definitely my heart goes out to him. I'm happy he's getting some help, but very odd structuring from Joel. Next up is Mercedes. He talks about how great of a worker she is and how good her attitude is despite the circumstances she has going on. And the first thing he wants to do is give her an immediate raise. Yes, these are the actionable items I was looking for. I hope it is a great raise. Yes, fantastic. First time I'm getting really excited finally. I'm getting juiced up again. The other thing he wants to do is help her celebrate the fact that she's no longer homeless. He wants them to go in and have her tell them everything she needs to get all set up in her new apartment, and they're going to get it for her. It's very touching. She starts crying. Fantastic. Last up, we have Albert. He was the one who wanted to start designing roller coasters and was struggling with having to work full time and then trying to do school. And Joel informs him that Albert has inspired him to start a scholarship fund, and Albert will be the first recipient of it. He's going to be able to go to school full time now because they're going to be paying him his 40-hour-a-week salary to go to school. Obviously, this makes Albert burst into tears. It would make anybody burst into tears. That's a fantastic thing to do for someone, and I hope that that's a program that will continue to build and build and build within the whole company and not just this one-time thing. There is one little caveat, though. The only thing they ask is that during the summer when he's not at school, he comes back and is working at Silver Dollar City, which, of course, Albert's like, you cannot keep me away. I love Silver Dollar City. And I love that for him. Just love it. Happy endings. Then it's time for the final moments of Undercover Boss, where they love to do a whole company-wide reveal of what's been going on. During this time, sometimes there'll be some company-wide benefits given out. There's usually like a highlights reel of the person's time working on the front lines of their business. Something that I thought about now that I'm an adult that I don't think I ever questioned as a kid is I wonder how they set this up, because with all these companies, they have people all throughout the US. They have locations everywhere. So I'm wondering, do they just invite certain people from all the different locations to try to get like a good mix of everybody? Do they go to one of the locations and just get the whole company of that location? I would love to know, because like obviously this isn't every single person that works for this company. They would not fit in this auditorium. I would not believe it. So that's some of the Undercover Boss lore I would love to find out. Unfortunately, we don't get any company-wide benefits. We just get a general thank you and him talking about how he has a renewed appreciation for everything they do. But what I did forget is that isn't actually the final moments, because we get little updates about the different employees. Completely forgot that happened. So let's get into the updates. I don't feel like any of these updates are going to be super groundbreaking, but we're just going to roll through them really quick. First up, we have Captain Howard, and we learn in the weeks since he has been spreading his enthusiasm to other duck boat operators in the new captain's program. Next up, it's Jennifer, and they talk about how they've set up a child care fund, and now Jennifer will have the funds she needs to cover the child care for her kids. Next up is Mercedes, who was given an immediate raise and also furnishings to make her house a home. Then there's Richard, and we find out Herschend paid for Richard to renovate his home, which has lifted a huge burden off of his family. Then we have Albert, who is applying to different schools with the help of the company, and who also just recently attended his first amusement park convention, which is just fantastic. I know I was giving him a little shit about the Zoo Tycoon. Nope, not Zoo Tycoon. Roller Coaster Tycoon thing. But I don't get me wrong. I love the enthusiasm. I love somebody who just like has a goal and does whatever it takes. I'm not even being slightly sarcastic or kidding. I truly just 10/10 love that in a person. And that is the end of Season 1, Episode 7 of Undercover Boss. Of course, I couldn't just leave it at that, though. I love digging around afterwards, seeing if I can find anything interesting. One thing that I thought was interesting was Joel was the CEO at Herschend Family Entertainment from 2003 to 2013, and after that, he went on to be the CEO of SeaWorld. Just thought that was very wild. but it very much makes sense. Another person I was able to get an update on was Albert. It looks like he worked at the company for 12 years until around 2016 and made it all the way up to attractions area supervisor. It looks like he did a couple different supervising positions until moving on to do a similar job at an aquarium, not part of Herschend Family Entertainment, a different rival aquarium, I'm assuming. Don't know why. I'm just reading facts. And then after that, and now, it seems like he does automotive work, which is so funny with Joel's whole history of like doing the automotive work and it being bad, and then he went into entertainment, and now Albert's doing the opposite, and Joel had the whole like, I see you in me. So I wonder about all that. I love it though. Just so funny, like such a weird little coincidence. I'm sorry, I have to be clear. My man isn't like working on cars. He's doing like sales and recruiting. So he's still doing something similar in that way, just a different field, which is similar to Joel. It is getting late. I know y'all don't know how late I film, but I film so late sometimes, and my brain is starting to go, so we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. I love that I said that like it's anybody's fault but my own about how late I stay up doing this anyway. And unfortunately, that's all for updates I could find for the actual people from the episode. I'm not super surprised since it was 2010, and also because of the type of show it is. Sometimes it's hard to find updates on people who are on these one-off shows. Honestly, I was surprised I found anything at all with Albert. That was shocking to me. So we got one update. I was expecting to get 0. So low expectation, high reward. As for Herschend Family Entertainment itself, obviously they are still around. Maybe not obviously to you. As somebody who lives near to Silver Dollar City and knows it is still going, I still know people who'll be like, we're going to Silver Dollar City this Christmas. I know there's still something working with that company. I'm going to put up the little map that they have on their website showing different things they own. Number one, I want to point out I did not realize they owned any and all of the Dolly World, Dollywood, Dolly Water Park, anything Dolly that's like an amusement park, they own it. Also, Harlem Globetrotters, wild to me. They own way more than I thought. It's still so funny to me that I started all this out thinking I was getting like some small, random, family-owned amusement park, but in retrospect, I don't even know why I thought that, because the businesses on the show are never that small. I don't know why I thought I found the one weird off one. I truly don't know what I was thinking in retrospect, but we live and we learn. I think the biggest update comes from the Ride the Ducks attraction. So they bought that in 2004, and then in 2017, they ended up selling it to Ripley Entertainment, and they had to shut down all operations in 2018 after there was a deadly sinking in Branson. And I actually remember when that happened. I knew that there had been something in the news with the Ducks, but I was waiting to look anything up till we got done with the episode. And that's just so sad. I just can't imagine. I also was reading that when Herschend had them, they even shut them down in Memphis in 2007. This one says it's because of unreliable peak season water access, but then 2 years later they also closed the Baltimore one because there were safety concerns. So wild to think there were safety concerns in 2009, and then it just seems like nothing was really probably addressed, and they just sold it, and then that happened. Very tragic, so sad for those people's families who thought they were just having a fun adventure that ended up being so sad. And it's so sad that we're ending on that note for updates. I am so sorry. Final thoughts. Very interesting to go back and watch that first season. Just totally different time. I am now interested in seeing what the new seasons are like, because my brain watching those old seasons, I just don't really know. I just can't, I'm just not sure what those new seasons are like. So maybe in the future I'll need to check one out, see what it's like, or maybe check out the celebrity one, or maybe both. Who knows? The opportunities are endless. I think if they went back to making this show, because arguably they could. They stopped in 2022, but you never know with shows. But I think if they went back to making these shows, I wouldn't go back to being an avid watcher like I was when it was like 2010 to like 2016. I don't think I could watch this show every week and just not feel frustrated repeatedly about general things about the state of our world, which is sad and unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I would love to know your thoughts about Undercover Boss. Did you watch it back in the day? Have you continued to watch it all the way until they stopped doing it in 2022? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know all that and more down below. If you've made it this far in the video, incredible. I appreciate it more than you could ever know. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and maybe even subscribe to the channel. We're here talking about fun reality TV times. So if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out of tea, literally and figuratively, and I'm so sleepy. This is your bonus footage if you made it this far. It is 1 a.m. Good night.